Welcome to Mrs. J's Book Nook. Today I'm reading to you Milo and the Magical Stones. It's written by Pfister, and this story, or this book, has two endings. As you can see here, it's an environmental story with two endings. So let's have a look at what it's about. Milo and the Magical Stones. In the middle of the sea there was an island, and on this island lived Milo and the other cliff mice. They loved their island. It provided them with food and shelter and protection from the rough storms that pounded waves against the cliffs. During the summer, Milo and his friends worked hard gathering food. Sometimes they would take a break from their work and skip flat stones out over the sea. In the evenings, the mice would stretch out on the cliffs that had been warmed by the sun and watch the stars in the night sky. If it was warm enough, they would spend the entire night outside, telling stories and enjoying the mild summer air. But when the first winter storms arrived, the mice would spend most of their time huddled in their dark, damp caves, dreaming of light and warmth. After one of these storms, Milo crept out of his cave looking for food. He poked his nose curiously into every crevice. Then, in a particularly deep crevice, he saw something extraordinary, a strange glowing stone. Using a long stick, he carefully pried it out and carried it back to his cave. It's very sparkly. Milo was amazed to see that the darker it got, the more brightly the stone glowed. And not only did it provide light, it also gave off a comforting warmth. Happily, Milo curled up in the corner of his cave with his treasure. But he was not alone for long, because the bright light soon attracted the other mice. They all wanted stones of their own, and they asked Milo to show them where he had found his. But just as they were about to set off, wise Balthazar stood up and spoke. "Don't forget," he said, "the stones belong to the island. If you take something from the island, you must give something in return." So this is the part of the book where we can choose the happy ending, or the sad ending. So I'm going to read both of them. First, we're going to have a look at the sad ending. So here they are. They're all ready to go and have a look where Milo had found his stone. Only Milo heeded Balthazar's warning. He immediately began thinking about what gift he could give to the island. But the other mice hurried off to find the glowing stones. They squeezed into the tunnel and started digging wildly. Using sharp rocks, they chipped away at the walls of the tunnel. They tossed the smaller stones aside. They wanted only the biggest ones. Then the mice dragged the glowing stones into their caves. They grew greedy and jealous and spent so much time worrying about who had the most stones that they couldn't even enjoy the comfort the stones brought to them. Milo watched his friend sadly. He worried about what Balthazar had said and wondered what would happen. He sighed. There was nothing he could do but get back to work on the gift he had thought of to give the island. Soon the mice decided that they needed more of the magical stones. They crept into the tunnel and dug day and night, piling the magical stones in and around their caves until the whole island glowed. They boasted about their stones and argued about who had the most, the biggest, and the brightest. The mice were consumed with greed, and as they dug deeper and deeper, the walls of the mountain got thinner and thinner. Before long, the mountain was hollowed out completely. Then suddenly, with a thunderous roar, the mountain collapsed. Giant boulders fell, burying the tunnels in a heap of rubble. Waves pounded against the shore, flooding most of the island. Only one cave was left. Inside, Milo and Balthazar crouched trembling in a corner. The stones could have brought such happiness, said Balthazar quietly. As he spoke, Milo went back to work carving a stone to give to the island in thanks for its magical gift. So that's the end of the sad ending, where these two are doing something good in return and survived the big thunderstorm. But all those other mice that were increasingly greedy, unfortunately, didn't survive. So let's have a look at the happy ending. The happy ending. So here we are, back to the part of the story where all of the mice wanted Milo to show them where the glowing stones were. Balthazar is right, said Milo. But what could Milo give to the island? He thought about it for many days until at last he had an idea. He went down to the shore where the sea washed up all kinds of stones and looked for one that was about the same size as the one he had taken. He sat down and started chipping away at the stone. Curious, the other mice gathered around. Milo worked for hours until he had carved a beautiful sun into the stone. Then Milo led his friends to the hidden crevice in the mountain and put his carved stone in the place where he had found the glowing stone. That's a good idea. The other mice began digging. Directly below the crevice, they found a tunnel that ran deep into the mountain. The further into the mountain they went, the more glowing stones they found. Each mouse took one and carefully carried it home. Then, like Milo, they found ordinary stones along the shore and started to decorate them. Some mice carved, etched or drew on their stones. Others wrapped them or decorated them with flowers, leaves or roots. They created beautiful works of art, then carried them into the mountain and placed their gifts where they had found the glowing stones. From then on the windy winter weather did not bother the mice, who snuggled happily in their bright warm caves. Often they got together and told stories just like they did in the summertime. These gatherings made the long cold nights seem shorter and winter less damp and dark. Every year the mice celebrated the beginning of winter. They met in Balthazar's cave and danced and sang. And when it got dark, they took the magical stones on a parade along the cliffs as a special tribute to their beloved island. So that's the happy ending. Well, they took something from the mountain and replaced it with something that they had made that was special to them. It kept the mountain alive and it kept their caves safe, and they all survived the summer and the winter. So it says here, dear readers, my friend Balthazar really knew what he was talking about, didn't he? If you don't take care of your mountain, you may wind up with no mountain to take care of. The same thing is true for beaches and forests, rivers and lakes, even the air we breathe. If we don't take care of them, someday we might not have them to take care of either. I'm working on it, you can work on it too. Do it Milo style. And the way you can do things to preserve the environment is to conserve water. So it says here, turn it off while you brush your teeth. Just turn it on to rinse. Recycle your toys. Children in hospitals or shelters would love to have your old toys, but be sure you fix them and clean them up first. And you can also upcycle as well as recycle. You can conserve paper. Keep a cloth towel by the kitchen sink and use it instead of paper towel. Write or draw on both sides of a sheet of paper before you put it into the recycling bin. Get your mum or dad to take reusable cloth bags to the grocery store. And up here, the tips are, don't litter. Do more. Keep a plastic bag handy to pick up the litter you see. Or what you can do is, instead of a plastic bag, you could actually use a cloth bag or a paper bag. Conserve electricity. Turn off lights when you're not using them. Don't let the refrigerator door stand open. It takes extra electricity to cool things back down. And here it says, adopt a piece of the earth. This is a good project to do with your class or club. Maybe you can plant vegetables in your piece of earth, or a bush to provide food and shelter for birds, or flowers to feed butterflies and bees. Have fun helping the earth to stay healthy. Your friend Milo.